You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, home of Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks, weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, right here on The Key and YouTube.com at Braves Country.
Maybe you're looking for veneers. That 2022 is all 706-623-0318 or visit mostvaluablesmiles.com.
Enjoy sun-drenched days, epic stays, and plenty of room to roam in Greater Fort Lauderdale. Our hotels, attractions, and restaurants have taken the Visit Lauderdale's Safe and Clean pledge so you can relax and explore with confidence. When you're ready for that well-deserved staycation, our 23 miles of golden beaches await. Find wide-open spaces to hike, bike, kayak, and paddleboard. Visit your favorite attractions, then dine out in style in dining rooms or al fresco on waterfront patios. Learn more at sunny.org.
It all starts with just one thing. When recycling, rinse out jars and cans, and avoid recycling wax paper or paper soiled with food. This will reduce recycling contamination. Find tips and more at onethingus.com. What's your one thing?
Hey, sports fans, The Key has a brand new show. Braves Country is coming your way weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Drive time on WQEE. Braves Country is a Southern sports talk show with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. We'll be talking the Atlanta Braves and Major League Baseball, along with everything important to sports fans in Braves Country. The SEC, ACC, Big Ten, and the National Football League, and the big sports news of the day. That's Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. right here on WQEE, The Key, 99.1 FM, and simulcasting on youtube.com/at Braves Country.
At Shell, we know from the time you get up to the time you wrap up,
good night,
there's a lot of meetups, eat-ups, and hurry-ups. So come to Shell and get 3 things done at once. Fill up with Shell V-Power Nitro Plus to help keep your engine running like new. Save up with the Fuel Rewards program and never pay full price for gas again. And snack up with in-store rewards to save even more at the pump. Make the most of the stop you need to make with Shell and engines that continuously use Shell V-Power Nitro Plus premium gasoline. See full terms and conditions at fuelrewards.com.
That's the sound of NyQuil Severe hard at work. NyQuil Severe is the best sleep with a cold medicine. No tossing and turning, just rest and recovery. So you're ready to take on tomorrow. For powerful relief of your worst cold and flu symptoms, try NyQuil Severe. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, best sleep with a cold medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Hey, Braves fans, thank you for listening to Braves Country Baseball. Hi, I'm Mac McGee, and we are here to bring you play-by-play, pitch-by-pitch of your Atlanta Braves, bringing you spring training and 2 to 3 games a week all season long. Please like and subscribe today. Braves Country Baseball.
Winter is the perfect time to start planning for your healthy, pest-free spring lawn with True Green, America's #1 lawn care company. True Green's science-based approach and local expertise will help give your lawn the year-round care it needs to be thick and weed-free. Go to truegreen.com. Just call 866-946-5956 or go to truegreen.com today and get a lawn to be proud of.
Hey, sports fans, it's Rod Peterson here, host of The Rod Peterson Show, inviting you to join us daily for 2 hours of Atlanta's funnest sports talk right here on WQEE. I say fun because it is. You've never heard a show like it because we make the listeners a part of the show every day between noon and 2 p.m. Eastern. You'll hear plenty of the best sports talk, including the latest on the Falcons, the Braves, and more. And who knows, you might even hear you. That's the Rod Peterson Show, daily at noon, right here on WQEE 99.1 FM.
We live in a world now that welcomes and nurtures the screwball in all of us. Hey, it's a new decade, people. Time to get a little nutty. Treat yourself to Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey, a smooth flavor that combines two of America's favorites, peanut butter and American whiskey. So no more social awkwardness. Time to embrace who you truly are. Get out there and make friends. And be sure it starts with Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey. It's available nearly everywhere. Learn more at screwballwhiskey.com. Infinium Spirits. Please enjoy responsibly.
Hey, sports fans, the Key has a brand new show. Braves Country is coming your way weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Drive time on WQEE. Braves Country is a Southern sports talk show with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. We'll be talking the Atlanta Braves and Major League Baseball, along with everything important to sports fans in Braves Country. The SEC, ACC, Big Ten, and the National Football League, and the big sports news of the day. That's Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. right here on WQEE, The Key, 99.1 FM, and simulcasting on youtube.com/@Braves Country.
It's the best in sports and entertainment, and get locked in and locked down with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with your host, me, Ryan O'Neill, each and every morning, right here with the best in sports and entertainment, all the way from professional sports to college sports to River Dragons hockey and everything in between, including some of the very best local and national guests. It's the Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday, right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.
You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia.
Armchair. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterback Sports Radio, #1 sports station.
Good afternoon, and this is your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. We've got 3 bowl games for Thursday, December 29th, starting at 2 o'clock Eastern. Syracuse in Minnesota in the Bronx at the Pinstripe Bowl. The Golden Gophers, a 10-point favorite, over-under is 42. And at 5:30 Eastern on ESPN in Orlando, Florida, the CHEEZ Bowl, number 13 Florida State, clashes with the Oklahoma Sooners of the Big 12. The Seminoles are now a 9.5-point favorite, over under 66. In the late game, 9 o'clock Eastern, Texas, number 20 in the country, versus Washington, who are 10-2. The Longhorns are a 3-point favorite over the Huskies, over under 67.5. It's the Alamo Bowl in San Antonio, Texas. Thursday night, NFL Game of the Week. Cowboys still trying to chase down the Eagles for the NFC East. The Titans are awaiting next week's game against the Jacksonville Jaguars, as it will be for the AFC South crown. Saturday, December 31st, New Year's Eve, the college football playoffs have arrived. 4 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. The first national semifinal, the TCU Horned Frogs taking on the Michigan Wolverines. Michigan, minus 7.5, over under 58.5. And the night tilt at 8 o'clock Eastern, the Ohio State Buckeyes will tangle with the Georgia Bulldogs in the Peach Bowl in Atlanta, Georgia. Time for the Dogs to hunker down. They're a 6.5-point favorite. Over under is 62. And that's your Armchair Quarterback Sports Flash. Stay tuned for Braves Country right here on WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, simulcasting on youtube.com/Braves Country.
Armchair.
There's something kind of about a kid that's never played baseball.
We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, and flat out deceived.
Why did you get so drunk?
You got drunk. I'm just really exhausted.
What's in that cup?
Rum and Cokes.
Do you have any idea how important this is? We're trying to save the pub. Really? This is what you're doing? This is what you're doing?
Chief, what do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night. Try to take over the world.
106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
Armchair.
YouTube Live.
Radio station.
The radio station you can call your own.
Do you know what
your listeners like about our station?
I like everything. It's always on my radio.
We never stop the music, except for now, when I talk.
You're listening to Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. We're here live weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key, and simulcasting on youtube.com/@Braves Country. Your first choice for Southern sports. Good afternoon, Mr. Justin Waller. You're muted, Justin. I don't hear him. I don't know much, but I know one thing. We'll get it figured out, and bowl games are on the way. We'll also get you caught up on what's going on. Minnesota, Syracuse are live right now.
Armchair.
Community Access Channel.
He's the armchair quarterback. He's full of beer and he's full of snacks. The all-American man. Yeah, the armchair quarterback.
Hey, howdy, hi, and how the hell are you? Trying to unmute your mic, Justin. I don't know why it won't unmute. Maybe leave and come back. I do not know. I'm trying to click on it as we speak, and instead what we're getting is it won't let me do it. So we'll get that figured out. Big show today. Before we start anything, I do want to recognize the fact that we have the passing of the great Pele, arguably the most famous athlete in all the world. Pele passes away at the age of 82. And if you saw the news the last few days, he had been fighting for his life. He was very sick, and we do mourn the loss of Pele. I've got more on that later on in the show, as I actually met him at one point when I was very, very young. As we wait for Justin to rejoin us, we will keep motoring along. As you see up here on the monitor, if you're watching on Braves Country HD, we got the CHEEZ Bowl coming up. It's going to be Florida State and Oklahoma. The line right now is 10. FSU the favorite. Over-under has been sitting around 65, give or take, going back and forth. And we're going to get into that game, as I believe Florida State should go out there and they should be able to play a really good ball game, and they should be able to cover the spread, I believe. But I don't think I'm willing to take it just yet. Because honestly, what I would probably do if I was betting this game, I'd probably wait till in game, see if Oklahoma gets the early score, let that line come down a little bit, because I could see Oklahoma backdoor covering that. 10 points is a lot to cover when you're a good team like Florida State, but they're not a great team. They're not the Georgia Bulldogs of this year, right? They're not the, they're not in the same breath of Ohio State and Michigan this year. They're a good team, but giving up 10 points seems a little ridiculous considering the fact that they barely beat Florida by barely a touchdown. And I don't like the play. It is a good matchup because you get what have been two storied programs in Oklahoma and Florida State. Florida State's got a lot of guys coming back. It's one of the reasons why they are such a heavy favorite. Oklahoma's losing some guys, so some guys won't play. Most of the Florida State guys are playing. There are some that aren't yet. They haven't decided whether or not they're coming back, but a good majority are coming back if you've missed that news. So that's what we've got going on right now in the world of sports as Justin tries to rejoin us. He'll be with us momentarily, having some technical difficulties. Not 100% sure. We could see him, but we just couldn't hear him. So you got that going on, and he is joining us on. I believe it looks like we've got the mic, so let me see. Justin, are you there? He is. Try turning your microphone up because it's showing me that you've got a microphone. I just don't know why I can't hear you. I cannot hear you. So
Nothing at all.
There we go. The old mute button. The old-fashioned mute button. When in doubt, read the instructions, right? And
Or just shove it all the way in, because we had to shorten the cord. And
just give me a beer and a hammer, and I'll get it figured out. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, sir. Mel, go off the rails just a little in memory of Big E, and just make mention of Pele's passing today. Rest in peace. Wouldn't be doing Big E honors if we didn't mention Pele. He would probably haunt us tonight. So,
yeah, a lot of things around this time period remind me of him. You know, just a couple of days ago, didn't mention it because we're not a soccer show, but Boxing Day was one of his favorite days. That just took place on the 26th. If you're not familiar with Boxing Day, it's an English holiday that's also wrapped around the world of soccer. But for those who don't know who we're talking about, Justin's referring to Eric Walther, Big E. He was a contributor for this show for many years, and we lost him a couple of years ago about this time period. It was, in fact, it was the night of the Florida State-Florida game, so it would have been the Thanksgiving weekend, and it was a hard passing. But now we lose Pele. I'm going to get more into that later in the show. I did meet him just by happen chance as a kid. It wasn't because I deserved it. I just happened to be in the right place at the right time, kind of thing. And I'll get into that. But before we go any further in the world of football and whatnot, I've gotten quite a few questions. In fact, I put one on the screen, and Robert wants to know about the thoughts on the Atlanta Braves and the trade that they made yesterday. And they're making a lot of minor deals. We didn't get into a lot of it yesterday, but I kind of covered the whole Sean Murphy being extended 6 years, $73 million, with the 7th year on a club option that they do not have to pay if they do not pick it up. So that 7th year is totally up to the Braves, and I believe it's somewhere around that same 16 million, considering what they expect him to be. It's quite a deal. Conversely, Sean Murphy will be like 34 years old. So you have to weigh out whether or not the catcher at that point is worth keeping. But that's future McGee's and future Waller's problem. Today, we've got an all-star catcher. I'm going to say a top 3 catcher in all of baseball defensively. He may not quite be there offensively yet, but I think being in the Atlanta lineup and in that park is going to do him wonders. Were you excited about the signing?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you go from a 100-loss team to a 100-win team, and then to be able to extend him out and have him locked up for control. You've got your core nucleus of this roster. You name the player, they're locked up. And so you should have a good, I don't know, this is baseball. We'll say 3-4 year window. The 5, it looks like on paper and some control, some of these contracts might get a 6th or 7th, but in all reality, those things usually don't play out that way. So you've got a 3-4 year run right now that I think you have it. I think you better be setting yourself up for some arms acquisitions.
That's the thing that I think is getting a little lost in the mix is Atlanta's going to have to continue to develop arms. Because I don't think we're going to re-sign Max Fried. Do you? He's got 2 years left on his current deal. He'll be 31. When have we ever known Atlanta to re-sign a 31-year-old arm? Right?
Fair enough.
So I think we've got 2 years with him. Now you do have Strider locked up long term. You can still lock up a Kyle Wright if they believe that this is something that is able to duplicate again, right? He's a young pitcher. Strider's a young pitcher. Regardless, you're going to have him under control. You got guys like Bryce Elder, maybe even be able to rehabilitate Ian Anderson and the issues that he had last year. So you've got a good young pitching core. It's not like the cupboard's going to be bare in a couple of years, but I would be shocked if Max Fried makes it to another contract, because we're talking about paying the guy. If you go off of what the other guys got paid, I'm gonna take one. For instance, Carlos Rodon, who I think is right there with Max Fried. You can put him as a top tier pitcher. He may not be the best pitcher in baseball, but man, you wouldn't kick him out of bed for eating crackers, right? Carlos Rodon just got $30 million a year plus. 2 years from now, you got to figure that's what Max Fried's going to get, and you got to figure he's at least going to get a 5-year deal. I don't think Atlanta's going to be able to re-sign him.
You do have Ozuna coming off the books next year.
You
got
do.
one more year in that horrible deal, so there's a little bit of cheddar for you. That makes it. I tell you what, the Eli White signing confirms they're not going for a superstar in left field, and we aren't picking up any more outfielders because you have 3 now that can platoon it.
Right, Eli White, and then of course Luplow that they got was that last week. It's all starting to run together. But then I think the big signing or the big trade,
Sam Hilliard too.
I'm not 100% sure how to. I'm sorry, do what?
Wasn't Sam Hilliard also left fielder? Can play left field?
Yes, Hilliard. Luplow actually can play all 3 outfield positions and first base. Now, none of them can hit their weight. That's your biggest concern. But you kind of just throw them up against the wall and hope for the best, right? The move that I'm most excited about is that they finally got that. They got that third left-hander that they wanted in the bullpen, Luque. And I know a lot of people are probably not familiar with him. If you look at his numbers, they're not going to floor you. But what he is, he's a very solid lefty in the middle of your bullpen. I'm talking about he's a guy that you can bring in 6th, 7th, maybe even 8th inning and feel really good about. You still got Mentor, right? So he's obviously going to be the guy that sets you up in the 8th inning or even close some games out. But Luque gives you a lot, and then you saw that Dylan Lee coming back. So it sets us up well. Most teams don't have 3 lefties. That's a luxury to have in the bullpen.
Very much so, and I like coming out of the AL East there, that competition, I'd say pretty similar. So high-pressure situations, I don't think we're going to struggle there.
No, we shouldn't, and I believe Iglesias is actually an upgrade at closer. I really do. It's not that Kenley Jansen didn't get the job done. He led the National League in saves, but that really had more to do with the fact of the team he was playing for. I'm going to look forward to clean 9th innings, and I'm not going to sit here and just bash Kenley Jansen because he did a good job for us all in all. But, man, you talk about getting the Rolaids out every single time he got up. Start warming up. I mean, when he would start to warm up in the 8th, you'd be hoping that we would get a run explosion in the 8th to be able to extend it out where he's not coming in with a 1 or 2 run lead. I remember the first one that he did was early in the season against Milwaukee, and it was kind of what he did the rest of the year, which was he would get the first guy out, the next guy would fight him off, and then all of a sudden there'd be a fister down the first base line just over the outstretched glove of Olsen. So next thing you know, you got a guy sitting on second base, and you got him in scoring position. And then here we go. And eventually he would get out of the jam. Now that one he did not, the one I'm referring to in Milwaukee, but he would eventually get out of the jam in most instances. And everyone would always push back on those of us that were like, oh my God, he's a disaster. They're like, oh, he's getting the save. Yeah, but what about the games that he didn't? What about the big game on that Sunday night that I'm sure more people probably remember against the Dodgers where he blew that game? And I know that's not why Atlanta got knocked out of the playoffs, but we never got far enough to figure that out. What say you?
Sorry, I was answering Robert's question or looking at one of our questions there, and I wanted to just confirm that Murphy did do better on the road than he did at home, but you got to put that to the Coliseum and what that stadium was and the low number of sluggers. There's never been consistency of dingers out of that park.
No.
It doesn't happen. So I'm not surprised by that number.
Right. Yeah, his splits are very favorable, but I also think it's not just take him from Oakland and put him in Atlanta, much better stadium. Take him out of that Oakland lineup where you can pitch around him, right. And you're going to put him. I mean, this guy's going to go from being a 4th or number 4, number 5 hitter in the Oakland lineup to probably a 7th that's where I have him projected is number 7 in the lineup. And that's nothing to sneeze at because that line is that deep. Now, I do believe against lefties, he might get a little bump up. He might be 5 or 6, but I think against righties, you're probably going to see him 7th, maybe 8th, depending on, kind of, you know how Snicker does playing the hot bat, right? I just think long term that this is going to be a spectacular move. I know it hurts a lot of us who were big fans of Contreras, and I still am. I'm going to hate to see him in another. I wish he was playing for Oakland so I didn't have to see him routinely play against us, but that is what it is. Sean Murphy is an upgrade behind home plate. And something else that I wasn't really in tune with, I'd kind of forgotten about. I kept thinking that this coming year was Travis d'Arnaud's final year. We've actually got a team option to pick him up in 2024, and most likely we will do that. It's very affordable. I think it's $7 or $8 million. And
that is a nice one to have.
Yeah, and don't you agree? Nowadays, you have to have two catchers.
You have to have 2.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Go in. And remember, the reason why a lot of Oakland A's fans are ticked off that they moved Murphy, but remember, the reason why they moved Murphy is because they got Shea Langoliers from us last year, who is doing phenomenal. So we are giving up a lot, but we're getting a lot, and we're getting guys who were, in my opinion, very. You can look at the back of their baseball card and you know what you're going to get. You're not guessing.
Any moves you see left? I don't see any big splashes.
Honestly, I was waiting to see what they would do with the bullpen. They might add 1 or 2 more pieces, minor pieces, but I think it'll be similar to what we saw last night, where it'll be either a minor trade. Most of your big dogs are off the market. The only one really left is Carlos Correa because they can't figure that out. I keep hoping that the Mets are going to panic and just sign him to a 12-year deal. Evidently, he's got a plate in his leg. That's what it comes down to. I finally did some digging. He's got a metal plate in his leg from an injury he had when he was in the minor leagues, and he re-aggravated it back in September this past year, and that's what everyone's bugging out about. And if you're going to give a man a 12-year deal, $300 million plus, I'd be a little concerned about it too, quite frankly. I know the diehard Mets fan who just wants him to win now probably says, screw that, who cares? We'll roll the dice. But you're not the guy whose job is on the line when that ends up being a terrible signing. So I don't know if Correa's come because his camp is refusing to take a shorter deal. The Mets want to sign, but they want him to sign like a 5-year, 6-year deal. And he's saying, no way. I already did that 1 year, that one and done last year. Wherever I go now, it's got to be a 10-year plus deal.
Just wondering if that said knee piece vibrates and let you know pitch count or what's coming. I mean,
I did. I did see a pretty funny tweet yesterday in the middle of all this where the melee was coming on and whether or not the Mets are still in or not. There's still debate back and forth. There was a Mets page that did a satirical breaking news, and it said, breaking news, the Atlanta Braves have signed Carlos Correa to a 10-year, $20 million deal. and then the emoji was him just shaking his fist at the sky. And the people commenting were like, of course they did. Why wouldn't they do that? We got to take a quick break. When we come back, we are going to belly up to the bar. If you haven't been here for that, don't go anywhere. It's a lot of fun. We'll be back in a flash here on The Key and Braves Country HD, wherever you may stream.
Shenyang, a performance that truly matters to every one of us, is coming to the Columbus River Center for the Performing Arts, January 17th, one night only. Shenyang brings 5,000 years of civilization live on stage through choreographed dance, music combining Western and Chinese instruments in an animated backdrop. Come and see it at least once in your lifetime. Tickets at shenyang.com/GA.
Here's good news. There's still a need for hundreds of thousands of cybersecurity professionals in the U.S. right now. And My Computer Career is training people to help meet the demand. No IT experience? No problem. Take the free career evaluation today. Start your new life as an IT pro in as little as 4 months. Grants covering up to 53% of the cost are available to those who qualify. It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
It's the best in sports and entertainment, and get locked in and locked down with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with your host, me, Ryan O'Neal, each and every morning, right here with the best in sports and entertainment, all the way from professional sports to college sports to River Dragons hockey and everything in between, including some of the very best local and national guests. It's the Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday, right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.
Hockey season, and that means new merch over at ourdragonsmerch.com. Get the latest designs and some of our fun new souvenirs ahead of what's sure to be a great hockey season. Celebrate another season of River Dragons hockey by getting a new look to wear on game days, or surprise the big-time sports fan in your life with a new keepsake that will make them a River Dragons fan for life. Order online right now at ourdragonsmerch.com. That's the letter R, dragonsmerch.com. We'll see you at the rink.
Here's what we're going to agree on. Okay, here's what we're going to agree on.
All right.
Nobody in America cares about Georgia right now. Okay.
Oh my
Let's get them knocked
there
off.
There are several
even
people
Ohio
who care about
State,
Georgia.
Sammy, let's get them knocked off. No. Get them on their merry way. Kirby Smart's got no personality. Let them go. Let them go, and let's have an Ohio State Michigan rematch in a championship.
Why, any fool could see he made that first down when he dived. If Howard Cosell came in now, he'd never get out alive.
Welcome back.
He's the armchair quarterback.
Riding down the road with the key.
Snacks, the all-American man.
Taking you all the way to the 5 o'clock hour where Farrell Coast to Coast will take over. Sports Map Radio. Of course, get your mornings going. Ryan O Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. And Rod Peterson Show, noon to 2. Sports Beat comes your way 2 to 3. And then we're here 3 to 5 weekdays. So that clip that I played, Justin, was the Mad Dog talking about how, and they were talking about what would be the best story in college football playoffs. And he believed that the worst story of all would be the Georgia Bulldogs winning the national championship again. And it was funny because one of the people, I didn't play the whole thing because it was too long. One of the guys said, so your hot take is that nobody cares about SEC football. That's what you're getting right. And remember, this is going live on ESPN that owns SEC Network and all that stuff. And I'm just sitting there dying laughing because that tells you his northern perspective, right? Living up there in the Northeast, he thinks that Ohio State, Michigan is the end all that beats all. Nobody cares about the Georgia Bulldogs. I say that if it's Ohio State, Michigan, you got less of a chance of me paying attention to that because Georgia's the defending national champion. They need to be in it for there to be that element of upset. Now, I think the worst, don't get me wrong, the worst matchup would be Ohio State versus TCU. Because at that point, you're like, what in the heck are we looking for and pulling for? I mean, yeah, I'd probably pull for the Horn Dogs. Horn Frog.
I couldn't even jump in and help you on that one, man. I'm sorry. I had to replay it through my head and make sure I heard that correctly.
I'm always pulling for the Horn Dogs. It took a second to register what I had said. But I would probably pull for TCU. But Michigan, Ohio State, yes, that's a better matchup than TCU, Ohio State. But I say that I kind of want to see the rematch of Michigan versus Georgia because I'd kind of like to see, Michigan claims that they weren't 100% there mentally, that they were basically taken back by the moment, and that this year will be different. I'd like to actually see if that's true. I think they got ran off the field because Georgia's a much better football team. What say you?
I agree with you completely. If there's a storyline I want to see, it's Michigan and Georgia playing it out for the Natty. But I'm not opposed to Michigan, Ohio State. I think it would make it interesting. Wouldn't be my favorite to watch, but again, I won't go on a rant of conference championships and do they mean anything. So Ohio State didn't win one. But anyway, there they sit. So
Right.
I'm
not going to kill them because how many times has there been 2 SEC teams and obviously both of them weren't conference champions?
Oh, yeah, because absolutely had Tennessee not wet the bed against South Carolina, you wouldn't hear a peep out of me with Tennessee sitting
How
right
exciting would that be
there. The
now?
rematch with Georgia, yes. In a non-rain game, neutral
Yes.
field, I'd bring it. But you got to have Hendon Hooker
Actually,
in a completely different offense without Hooker.
I think what we probably would have gotten was Tennessee versus Michigan and TCU versus Georgia. I think that's probably that's just my feeling is that it doesn't ever seem like that they want to put the two teams from the same conference in there, you know, that they want to see them have to fight their way to get there. But still, Tennessee, Michigan, I would have loved to have seen that matchup. A healthy-handed Hooker, obviously, but I would have loved to have seen that matchup.
Spencer Rattler's one great game.
We're gonna see what he's made of tomorrow, 3:30 Eastern. He's in Jacksonville in the Tax Slayer Bowl, taking on Notre Dame, and yeah, exactly. My thoughts exactly. The one time,
and it's all them stupid orange helmets. Hope to burn them and never bring them out again. You can't go in to somebody else's house looking like their arch rival.
Yeah,
and that's just a spit in the face, and you deserve everything you got for unveiling those helmets on that day in that place.
The only way it could have been worse is it. So you know how Clemson has the tiger paw, as if Tennessee would have came out with the dog paw for Smokey, right? That's the only way that could have been worse. But yeah, I'm with you on. I feel like Georgia, and by the way, there was chatter in the press conferences. I didn't get a chance to get into it yesterday, and I apologize for that because I did tease it and then we got sidetracked. But there was chatter in the Ohio State initial press conference, where the players being interviewed said that they have a lot of mismatches that they can exploit against Georgia. I'm like, what are you doing? They're not just the defending national champions. They've been mauling everybody except for that one random Missouri game, which, look, every college team has a bad game. They have been mashing everybody. And last time we saw Ohio State, they got their doors blown off at home in the second half against their arch rival. They need to shut up and put their head down and play football.
And both schools had a scare the week before going into the matchup. Both almost got caught looking ahead. Illinois and Michigan, and I can't remember the opponent for Ohio State that week, but I know it wasn't a runaway.
No, absolutely not. All right, I meant to hit the intro when we first came back in, but I played the clip from Mad Dog, so here we go.
Belly up to the bar, boys. Better loosen your belts. Only drink when you're all alone or with somebody.
All right, so we're bellying up to the bar, and that pretty much just means Justin and I will take on some topics and kind of give our opinions on it. The first one, obviously, was the Georgia. Are they the worst story left in the college football playoffs? I mean, no. The worst thing that could happen would be TCU and Ohio State win. As far as ratings go. I don't mean to tick off everyone in the state of Texas, but you're not the Longhorns. I'm just putting that out there, right? Next question I have up on the topic list. Which quarterback in the NFC do you trust the most? And I thought this would be appropriate considering the fact that you've got the Titans and the Cowboys playing tonight. We know it's going to be a farce of a game. Tennessee's, what do they got, 13 or 14 starters that are not going to play? It's something ridiculous. The line is up to 2 touchdowns now. It is now up to 14, which, by the way, may not be a bad take. If you're looking for a sneaky cover, I don't care how bad NFL benchings or opt-outs or whatever you want to call this are, it's hard to beat a team on the road by 2 touchdowns in the National Football League. And they're talking about nasty weather in Middle Tennessee. Is that accurate, Justin? Because you're right there in the thick of it.
No, we should be good tonight.
Oh, okay.
It's cloudy, a little misty, but weather's fine. I don't think it'll be anything significant.
Okay. I'd heard rumors earlier today that it was could be a nasty ball game. But who's the one quarterback in the NFC that you trust going into the playoffs?
Tom Brady.
I just don't know if I trust him with that team. They look so bad.
Playoffs a different story. Playoff Tom. I've been burnt too many times. I ain't betting against him. I agree. This team looks completely different than what past teams have. But once you get in, that do those magical things. I mean, aside from that, Dak would probably be my go-to.
If he's healthy, I'm going to say Jalen Hurts. But I'm hearing that they think he may not play in the first game of the playoffs. Now, I don't know if that's insinuating that if they don't get the bye. But at that point, you're talking about Gardner Minshew. And if that's the answer, I'll eat my hat. Doug Peterson is no longer coaching Philadelphia. So Gardner Minshew's not marching the Eagles with the Philly special to the Super Bowl. I think I've thought about this. If it was just the quarterback, I think it would be Kirk Cousins. But that defense is so bad. Of all the strangest things, man, the way he's played the last couple of weeks, could it be Brock Purdy?
Yeah.
I mean, that's where I'm at right now, because at least I know he's going to be standing upright. Tom Brady has been, I would say, running for his life, but, walking briskly for his life. Daniel Jones isn't scaring anybody, right? If Washington gets in, it's not Winston, it's not Heineke. Maybe if Seattle snuck their way in, I got a little more faith in Geno Smith than others. But man, I honestly don't know the answer. Like, I asked the question as soon as I sent it to you, I was like, I don't even know what I'm going to say, but I think it's Brock Purdy. I've been saying it for 3 months now. I'm still riding with the 49ers to get to the Super Bowl.
Playoff football is something different. I mean, it was I wanted to say it to begin it. I get why, but man, give me Tom if you're going to have him in the postseason. Until he gets knocked out, I'll take Tom.
What if we get an NFC Championship game of Gardner Minshew versus Brock Purdy? Wouldn't that be something? And honestly, Purdy has not played poorly. It's not like I'm tearing him to pieces. It's just the fact that he has no experience. And Gardner Minshew played pretty well last week. But I've been down that Gardner Minshew road before.
If I'm going to have to endure an NFC East team in there and Purdy's making it, give me the Cowboys. And let me just see some old school Cowboys, Niners love in the playoffs.
Would that not be fun?
Oh, yeah.
There's a generation out there that doesn't even know what that's about. I mean, yeah, we got the game last year, but it's not.
Yeah,
there was a time when Cowboys Niners in the NFC Championship game felt like the Super Bowl, much more than the Super Bowl did.
Well, I mean, essentially it was, because 3 of those opponents were against Buffalo. So it was the Super Bowl.
So this is a clip, and I'm sure you're probably like, why did he send me this question? Well, look, there's a clip that's been going viral of a sportscaster in Waterloo, Iowa, that was asked to cover the weather as opposed to the sports, because all the sports in Waterloo, Iowa had been canceled. So they put him out like man on the street kind of thing, okay, in freezing temperatures. I don't have the video, but you'll get the audio, and you'll get the gist of how happy this guy was from going from a nightly sportscast from like 11:30 to what it sounds like is the dude was out there from about midnight to 6 a.m. in the freezing temperatures. Here is the clip.
Mark, how you feeling out there? Again, the same way I felt about 8 minutes ago when you asked me that same question, right? I normally do sports. Everything is canceled here for the next couple of days. So what better time to ask the sports guy to come in about 5 hours earlier than he would normally wake up, go stand out in the wind and the snow and the cold and tell other people not to do the same. I didn't even realize that there was a 3:30 also in the morning until today. You know, I'm used to these evening shows that are only 30 minutes long, and generally on those shows, I'm inside. So this is a really long show. Tune in for the next couple hours to watch me progressively get crankier and crankier. How do I get that Storm Chaser 7 duty? I feel like Clint got the better end of that deal. You know, that thing's heated. The outdoors currently is not heated. Well, I'll tell you what, Ryan, I've got good news and I've got bad news. The good news is that I can still feel my face right now. The bad news is I kind of wish I couldn't. Live in Waterloo for the last time this morning. Thankfully, I'm Mark Woodley, News 7 KWWL.
I think my favorite part is the outside is currently not heated.
At the 3:30, he didn't realize it happened twice a day.
The guy in studio who's corresponding with them back and forth, you can tell that he's just kind of like, dude, what, like, why are you jumping all over me? Because every time they're going back, he was just killing him, and he's like, I didn't send you out there, you know. Anyways, what is the worst job that you ever had?
I don't even know what you call the job, but essentially the function, I was in a factory, pretty close and popular one to high school we all attended there when you lived up here in the mid-state. And my job was to, every time this little buzzer went off, I had to cut open a box of little like lard tablets, like just chips of lard. And that was my job. Every time I heard a buzzer, open box of said lard, dump box in big hopper, and repeat when buzzer went off again. I made it to lunch and didn't come back. It's the only time I've ever abandoned a job too. But yeah, I had to call temp service, but this ain't for me. Sorry. Yeah. So dumping lard for a 4-hour shift was my worst job because I didn't make it the full 8.
It was either my 19th or 20th birthday. I was working for a restaurant. And I think it's the only one that I've ever just left. But when I was brought in, I was hired to do A, and instead they bring me in my first day to do B. And it was my birthday, whatever, not a big deal. But we were having a party. It was a kegger. And I had asked before I came in, hey, is it cool if I'm out of here by like 3? Or do I need to start like the next week or whatever? Because I've already got this party set up, right? And I'm 19. I'm not caring about the little big picture. Yes. Oh, 3. No, we're gonna have you here we're gonna have you out here by lunchtime, 1 or 2, whatever. Get in there. Not only do they have me some of the most god awful stuff. First of all, it's wing day all of a sudden, and I'm the new guy, and I'm in charge of doing all the wings. Okay, whatever. That doesn't sound like a bad deal. But what I didn't know is that I was pre-cooking the wings for the entire weekend. It was Thursday, right? So I was the only guy back there, didn't know what I was doing. I was in the middle of that. Then they had me taking chicken strips, but they were basically gizzards, and flopping them around in a tempura batter. That sucked. But this goes on and on. I'm still okay with it. It is what it is. I'm like, get out of here. We're going to have a good time tonight, not worried about it. 3 o'clock comes. Can't have you go. We need you to do more of this junk, right? Now we need you to go into the back and help us clean out the dish room and detail that. 4 o'clock comes. Hey man, I got folks coming over. You said I could be out by 3. Nah, man, you might have to stay all night. About 5:30, right? I'm already trying to figure out a way out of it. The problem is, man, the door's locked. The back door's locked, and you can't just walk out the back door just because it's locked. And if I walk out the front, considering where I'm at, and I'm just decked out in just gunk because I've been doing the wings, I've been doing the gizzards, and now now I'm cleaning the trash compactor. Is the only way I can explain it. I mean, I'm just decked toe to toe with junk all over me. Finally, around 5:30ish, somewhere in that area, and we had folks coming over at 6. I still had to go get all the refreshments and everything. I hear the manager say, "I need someone to do a trash run, and don't make me ask twice." Man, I went, put my hand up. I said, "I'll do it. I will go." Oh, okay. Yeah, sure, man. You want to go take the trash out? You might want to get it all at once. It makes it a lot easier. I said, "No, man, I'll be fine." So I went and I grabbed the container with the wheels on it. I threw a couple bags on there, went out the door, got to the back entrance where the actual dumpsters were, and my car was sitting right next to it. I parked that sucker there. I got in my car. There were older girls out there smoking, watching this whole thing go down. I said, "Y'all can tell." Well, I can't say exactly what I said, but I said, "Y'all can tell the big man in there." And I gave them, a finger that they could show the guy. And they go, "You're leaving?" I said, "Absolutely." And by the way, and of course, I gave them directions to the party, and a few of them came over that night. That was by far the worst. I'm like, what in the world is going on here? You said I could be out probably by 2. It's like 5:30. I'm just drenched with junk. It was absolutely terrible. I've had some boring jobs, but that job was just absolutely terrible.
It's like the pasta station. Come home just reeking.
Yeah, I don't
miss those days either. But those weren't the worst.
I worked in CHEEZ as a manager years down the road, and they train you in every station. And the tempura batter station was the worst on a Friday night because you can never get your hands you can never get your entire station clean. It's just tempura, gunk, and flour for 5 hours. You're just sitting there going, "Oh, this is a disaster," and I can't even believe that I have to keep sending food out. That's why to this day, when I go there, I will not eat anything that I know is being in the tempura station because I'm like, y'all never get a chance to clean that. I'm out, man. I'm out. All right, we got to take a quick break. When we come back, we are going to hit our 6-pack of picks. And here's a word from our sponsor, CHEEZ. No, I'm joking. All right, we'll be back in a flash.
Are you looking for a reliable dental practice that not only cares about your teeth, but is friendly to work with? How about one that offers great deals and new patient promotions? Well, your search is over. Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton, Georgia is committed to giving you the biggest and brightest smile. Right now, get a $99 new patient special, including x-rays and exam. Maybe you're looking for veneers. Most Valuable Smiles veneer special includes 1 free veneer with every 5 purchased. Or get that bright white smile you've always wanted by taking advantage of an exclusive $100 off Zoom whitening treatment when you book today. And don't forget that 2022 is almost over. That means most insurance policies will reset by the new year, and to avoid losing that extra money, you need to use it or lose it. Book an appointment today with Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton to lock in these exclusive deals. Call 706-623-0318 or visit mostvaluablesmiles.com.
Hey, sports fans, it's Rod Peterson here, host of The Rod Peterson Show, inviting you to join us daily for 2 hours of Atlanta's funnest sports talk right here on WQEE. I say fun because it is. You've never heard a show like it because we make the listeners a part of the show every day between noon and 2 p.m. Eastern. You'll hear plenty of the best sports talk, including the latest on the Falcons, the Braves, and more. And who knows, you might even hear you. That's The Rod Peterson Show, daily at noon, right here on WQEE 99.1 FM.
Oh, let's not go to the World Series without Stillwell's toys.
Can you send my baseball?
Sure. There.
Wow. Avoid the clap, Jimmy Dugan. Wow.
That's good advice.
Welcome back. Time for a little football talk with Robert. I did see your question, and I am going to answer it. Just something else. I don't know if Atlanta's got the best bullpen. Let me kill that. I don't know if Atlanta's got the best bullpen in Major League Baseball, but I definitely would say it's top 5, top 3. Probably top 3. And I definitely think it's the best bullpen in the NL East. And the only bullpens that I can think of that are going to be just as nasty, Houston, you obviously got to put them in there. I think the Mets got worse, to be honest with you, as far as bullpen wise. And I'm not trusting the Phillies with Kimbrel. Kimbrel, come on. He was left off the Dodgers bullpen. I feel like you got to put the Dodgers in there because they always seem to have a really good bullpen and they tend to figure it out. But what the Giants are doing, that's an impressive bullpen, but are they going to have the rest of the parts? That's the question I have. But anyways, we move on and going to hit our 6-pack, and then we'll get into a couple other things before Justin has to jam out of here as Joey is on the way. Justin, there's a lot of interesting games because you've got what do you got? 3 more bowl games today. You got 5 tomorrow. I think 4 on Saturday, and then of course you've got the full NFL slate. So I'm curious to see where you go with your 6-pack of picks. We are currently, I did not update it, but we're basically 20 over 500 right now, going towards, this is the last week of the season. I guess I'm going to count the entire week 18 and then we'll start that anew for 2023. But all in all, we should still finish above 60%, which is pretty remarkable, especially considering we have so many of us contributing. Like typically you get this many people, there's going to be one guy in there who's like, I remember that one time a couple of years ago where Steven, he couldn't buy a lock. He was like, I think at the end of the season, he was like 1 for 15 or something like that. And we're like, you're killing me. Or you're killing me. You're killing our numbers. But this year, everyone's done pretty well. Where are you going for your first 6-pack lock of the week?
I'm going to take my boys off the board. I'll take them as dogs. I'll take Tennessee +6.
You're referring to the Vols, right?
Yes, sir. Sorry.
Vols +6. I like that.
Klubnik still scares me, but I think Joe Milton will have a heck of a game.
I don't feel like Clemson's offense is going to be explosive enough where this game is more than a field goal either way. I get that they're getting rid of DJU and they're really high on the kid that's coming in. It's going to be his coming out party, so to speak. But it also means that he's really green, and he has played a few times this year and has looked fairly. Look, you understand why DJU's transferring because he'd have no chance of starting next year. But I'm with you. I think Tennessee could be ripe for the upset. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm glad it's a standalone game. It's a Friday night game. You don't have anything else in the way. Looking forward to that big time. Okay, I am going to go to college football. I'll go ahead and hit my lock that I hit earlier today for the daily lock that I do on Twitter. I'm going to take Florida State to hold Oklahoma under 27.5 points. I think it's a really high number considering how much Florida State likes to run the ball. I'd be willing to take the under on the entire game too, but I'm not going to double down because at that point it's getting a little ridiculous. But that's a really high number to me for 27.5. You're talking about the way they're playing this out is Florida State wins 38 to 27.5 is what it's showing on the board right now. And I just don't think it's good. Most of these bowl games that have the high over-unders, the under's been hitting quite a bit, including last night's North Carolina-Oregon game. The Carolina almost pulled the upset in. They didn't come anywhere close to I think the final number was in the mid-70s, and they barely got in the mid-50s. And if Arkansas hadn't collapsed to let Kansas back in the game and go to overtime, that over wouldn't have hit. I don't know if you caught that game, but that was ridiculous. They were down, I think, 3 scores going into the fourth quarter, something like that, and the game ended up going into overtime. Arkansas did hold on and win, but the final score was 53 to 50. 55-53. I think is what the final was. But the under should have hit because it was like 38-23 with like 8 or 9 minutes left in the game. And unbelievably bad coaching by Arkansas. All right, what is your next game?
This one may make you cringe, but I'm gonna take K-State plus 6.5 against Alabama. K-State won their conference. They beat TCU, and I think they have a great team and a chemistry. Let's say that, because what we've seen with Alabama this year is you've seen a lot of individualism and you haven't seen this great mental team. So we'll see how they show up, how many are actually mentally into the game, considering that, they wanted that pitch to take that Ohio State spot. Now, how they warranted that, I don't agree with, but I think they'll be checked out, and I think K-State's going to give them every bit of the game that they want, and I'll take the plus 6.5.
And I'll do you one better. The line just moved to +7 as we were talking. So
boom,
we'll give you +7. Not only do I like them, I took them in our confidence pool. I took them to win at a pretty high confidence, right? I don't think Alabama's got anything to play for. I think they're just kind of show up, kind of like we've seen a couple of times when they played Utah and Oklahoma in bowl games, where it just kind of felt like that they had nothing to play for. And you're going to have Alabama kids opting out as well. If this game was played in September in Tuscaloosa, Alabama wins by 3 touchdowns.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't think they've got a lot to play for. And I think there's something to be said for Kansas State is excited to be there. Alabama really isn't. And it's a noon kickoff in New Orleans. I don't know about you, but I've been in New Orleans when I was 19, 20 years old. Noon was not friendly to me. That is going to be rough sledding. All right. I'm seeing Georgia Bulldogs -6.5, so I'm going to take the Bulldogs this week. I think they're going to mash Ohio State. I think they beat Ohio State by 2 touchdowns or more. So I'll take the Georgia Bulldogs -6.5. What's your next one?
You left me reeling after that. That was my third one. So I will give me Purdue. You showing 14.5? Purdue, LSU? Or are we trying to keep them all to this weekend? I'm sorry. I'll back that up.
When is that game?
It's on the 2nd.
Okay.
So it's a Monday game.
Well, that's fine then. Yeah, Purdue plus 14.5. That's yep.
I'll take that.
Purdue plus 14.5. Man, that spread has gotten big. I'll tell you one that I'm leaning towards, but I'm not. I want to do an NFL one, but pay for the same reasons that I just said about Kansas State upsetting Alabama. I think Tulane's going to beat Southern Cal. That game was on Monday in the Cotton Bowl. Tulane's getting 3, I think, by kickoff. I think you can wait. I think by kickoff, they're going to get a field goal, maybe even field goal and a hook. And I am awaiting that line because I do believe that Tulane's gonna get them.
Does it bother you they're pushed all the games to Monday? They're doing Saturday and Monday.
No,
I know it's NFL. Landed on the first.
You don't want to go up against the NFL. And Monday is a national holiday. Most of your businesses are closed. So I get why they're doing it. It's a little weird that they're doing Monday Night Football. I think the NFL should have stepped aside and given, for instance, the Sugar Bowl should be normally the Sugar Bowl would be being played right after the Rose Bowl. The Rose Bowl this year's played Monday afternoon, and then you're going to get Monday Night Football. And it's a good Monday Night Football game, don't get me wrong, but it feels a little weird. I'm going to go NFL for my final one. And, man, I'll tell you what. Let me take the Tennessee Titans to score more than 13.5 points. I feel like Dobbs coming in is going to energize that team a little bit. We're talking about 2 touchdowns over 4 quarters. At some point, if Dallas has this game well in hand, aren't they going to go into prevent? Give me the Tennessee Titans to score over 13.5.
Think Dobbs makes field tonight?
He's starting.
I have missed that. I thought Willis
announced it maybe 2 hours ago. Well, I'll put it this way. There are 3 beat writers that are saying it's happening. They haven't officially done it, but it sounds like that Vrabel has seen enough of the Malik Willis experiment, the John Robinson, Malik Willis experiment.
Josh Dobbs played well in that stadium.
Josh Dobbs, man, they've got to get him ready because I don't think they want Malik Willis starting against the Jaguars if Tannehill can't play. Do you think Tannehill is back?
Originally, it was to hold, but it said that he's had some setbacks in his training. But, with Vrabel, where's the truth? And we have no idea.
Right.
I have to say, with the addition of Dobbs, you have to lean that he's probably not there. And you're right. You got to throw Dobbs out there at some point today because it's all or nothing next week versus the Jaguars.
Real quick, give me a Tennessee Clemson prediction.
Go take my Volunteers 42. Go 37.
And we got about 20 seconds. Give me a prediction on your Panthers versus the Bucks.
Oh man, you can't even predict the Panthers. But an ugly win. I'm gonna take my Panthers. I don't have a score for you because after what we saw last week, I don't even know how to predict this offense anymore.
All right, brother.
Didn't say that.
15 seconds. Give me your walk-off.
Well, you just put the jinx on my Titans score over 13, so tighten up and let's shock the world and beat Dallas tonight. How about that? Josh Dobbs to the rescue, baby.
There's going to be people jumping out of windows in Vegas if that happens. All right, brother, we'll see you next week. Great job. We'll be back in a flash when we come back. Joey's going to join us. A lot more football talk and much more here on The Key in Braves Country HD. You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia.
Armchair. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterback Sports Radio, #1 sports station.
Good afternoon, and this is your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. We got 3 bowl games for Thursday, December 29th, starting at 2 o'clock Eastern. Syracuse in Minnesota in the Bronx at the Pinstripe Bowl. The Golden Gophers, a 10-point favorite, over-under is 42. And at 5:30 Eastern on ESPN in Orlando, Florida, the CHEEZ Bowl, number 13 Florida State, clashes with the Oklahoma Sooners of the Big 12. The Seminoles are now a 9.5-point favorite, over under 66. In the late game, 9 o'clock Eastern, Texas, number 20 in the country, versus Washington, who are 10-2. The Longhorns are a 3-point favorite over the Huskies, over under 67.5. It's the Alamo Bowl in San Antonio, Texas. Thursday night, NFL Game of the Week. Cowboys still trying to chase down the Eagles for the NFC East. The Titans are awaiting next week's game against the Jacksonville Jaguars, as it will be for the AFC South crown. Saturday, December 31st, New Year's Eve, the college football playoffs have arrived. 4 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. The first national semifinal, the TCU Horned Frogs taking on the Michigan Wolverines. Michigan, minus 7.5, over under 58.5. And the night tilt at 8 o'clock Eastern, the Ohio State Buckeyes will tangle with the Georgia Bulldogs in the Peach Bowl in Atlanta, Georgia. Time for the Dogs to hunker down. They're a 6.5-point favorite. Over under is 62. And that's your Armchair Quarterback Sports Flash. Stay tuned for Braves Country right here on WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, simulcasting on youtube.com at Braves Country.
Shanyang, a performance that truly matters to every one of us, is coming to the Columbus River Center for the Performing Arts, January 17th, one night only. Shanyang brings 5,000 years of civilization live on stage through choreographed dance, music combining Western and Chinese instruments in an animated backdrop. Come and see it at least once in your lifetime. Tickets at shenyang.com/GA.
Hey, sports fans, the Key has a brand new show. Braves Country is coming your way weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Drive time on WQEE. Braves Country is a Southern sports talk show with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. We'll be talking the Atlanta Braves and Major League Baseball, along with everything important to sports fans in Braves Country. The SEC, ACC, Big Ten, and the National Football League, and the big sports news of the day. That's Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. right here on WQEE, The Key, 99.1 FM, and simulcasting on youtube.com/@Braves Country.
Look, I got some bad news. I guess there isn't a good way to tell you something like this. Your god-uncle died. My god-uncle? There's no such thing as a god-uncle. Yes, there is. It's your godfather's brother. You remember your god-uncle, Charlie. Oh. Yeah, you know, as much as I'd like to pay my respects, catch up with my god-cousins and meet the god-neighbors, I have some urgent business that just can't wait until later.
All right, here's your popcorn and the remote. There, enjoy your show.
Broken pretzels in the rug. The beer cans could be worse. She'll clean it up tomorrow and dread September 1st. But once again, oh, well, the season's finally here, and the players hit the field, and every
Welcome
man
back.
like a boy, and every wife
You missed our six-pack. I just put it up in Twitter. I'll put it here in the
30 friends are on alert.
YouTube as well. Joining us is Mr. Joey Ariola. Joey, how are you today, sir?
Better now that I'm here and off of work and get to enjoy the great weekend of football that's going to be coming our way. I mean, it all started up yesterday with a couple of great finishes. I'm excited to finish that tonight, tomorrow, into the playoff.
Yeah, we should get a heck of a weekend of football. It all starts here for me at 5:30 Eastern, Florida State, Oklahoma. Look, I'm expecting a big win. I'm not saying they're going to roll them and win by 5 touchdowns, but I'm expecting at least 4.5 touchdowns. I mean, come on now. Let's go. If we would have had a bunch of guys declare for the draft, I would not be nearly as excited about this game. But considering we've got so many guys coming back, and there's a feeling around the campus, around the program, that we are back as a program, maybe not quite at the level of what a Georgia or Alabama's at, right? But the fact that we're no longer peddling around like the Miami Hurricanes, that's a big deal for us at this point. It's been a long 4 or 5 years. We've been just atrocious. And we had that 3-game losing streak in the middle of the season that you're like, oh, here we go again. But the thing that was different about those losses compared to others is they looked like a good football team. They were just getting beat. Years previously, they couldn't cross the 50-yard line at times. They couldn't stop you from crossing the goal line. So I'm expecting them to win. I don't know about that 10-point spread. I'm just kind of on the fence about that. I can see where they would cover. Man, Oklahoma has got some good athletes, and to give them 10 points, I think it's kind of disrespectful.
Yeah, I mean, look, you obviously closer weight to the situation I am, but Florida State's been playing consistent football since right out of the gate when they had a nice win at the end against LSU. Jordan Travis, to me, has done a phenomenal job with his 22 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, only not turning the football over a lot. So I think it all starts there with his play. But in this game, I do think they will win. I'm just not comfortable giving up the 10 points. So I'm probably just going to either bet the over under or stay away because I do feel like Florida State will come out on top. But with backdoor covers, Oklahoma being a pretty good program, even though they went 6-6 this season, I think that's just a lot of points for my liking.
I'll tell you what, I think the over is kind of high too. The over sitting at 66.
I just saw that.
most of these bowl games are not living up to the over because the over is just inflated all the hell. I don't understand that over under. I know they're probably going off of what Florida State and Florida did, but that was in that was in the heart of the season. Two teams rolling. It was a big time game. It was national television. It was a rivalry game. Man, I just don't see how Oklahoma and Florida State are going to put up 66 points between them.
Probably not going to happen.
I'm going to go ahead and give you a no, you know what? We'll do that at the very end. We're going to make predictions on the Titans game tonight. We'll make predictions on the Alamo Bowl and the CHEEZ Bowl.
All right.
Last segment. So let's go ahead and dive in. First of all, have you caught many of these games this week? Bowl games?
Oh, especially yesterday is where I really started things off. I really enjoyed the Arkansas-Kansas game is that I thought was over. Like most people probably did. I tuned back in for a great finish. And then, man, last night seeing Bo Nix and Drake May go at it was a lot of fun. I always like when two good teams with two really good quarterbacks, one a lot older than the other, but both very different and fun to watch. So yesterday I locked in. I'm going to lock in right after we're done here. Again, I was watching a little bit of Minnesota and Syracuse, but I'm ready for the Florida State game, and then I'm ready for Washington tonight. So I'm loaded up this week, and I'll be locked in my chair.
Yeah, that's a low-key, very good matchup. It's a 9 o'clock game. It's going to be going on during an NFL game. But good news, the NFL game is meaningless tonight.
Right.
The Titans are going to lose. They're just going to. They've got like 13 guys that aren't going to play tonight because they're resting up for the Jacksonville game. The Cowboys do need to win to keep pace and put pressure on the Eagles. So I'm not even worried about whether or not they're going to do it. I don't know if I would take the spread because I could see a backdoor cover where Cowboys get up by 17 points and then let a late touchdown through the door, right? I get that thing is just screaming for backdoor cover, but it's not going to be worth watching. I'm going to watch Florida State, Oklahoma, and then I'm going to go straight over to the Alamo Bowl.
I'll be right there with you.
And I thought we were going to get a really good matchup. I was looking forward to this a few weeks ago when I was like, man, we're going to get the Alamo Bowl, we're going to get the CHEEZ Bowl, and we're going to get Titans versus Cowboys. And then all of a sudden the game gets here and I'm like, oh, so. And I had to look at it like 9 times on it. It's like, so this game literally means nothing. Tennessee wins or Tennessee loses, Jacksonville wins or Jacksonville loses. Next Sunday is still for the AFC South crown.
Amazon's got to be shaking their head too because this is one of their last matchups here. Is it the last one?
You're gonna be able to hear the dust in the booth because he's been a sourpuss all year long because he's been spoiled for years and years and years of having the Sunday night game of the week. And then when we get this late in the season, he can get it flexed. He's got to be grinding his teeth heading into the booth tonight. And it's going to be cold.
Ugh.
Prediction.
All right.
Kirk Herbstreit walks out in the middle of the third quarter and says, I'm done, man. I am done. You can have this nonsense.
That long contract is over.
Yeah, it is over, my friend.
Just something hasn't fully. I don't know if it's just because it's year one or what, but something hasn't fully synced in with that Amazon and everything that goes on in it. I'm not saying it's a bad, way to watch a game, but I just feel like there's something that's just a little bit off from your other big game nights.
All right, well, let's get to it. We've got a lot to do and a little time to do it. First thing that I do want to make sure that everybody knows the news that Pele, the arguably the most famous athlete in the world, passed away today at the age of 82. So we sent our condolences for that. I guess I'll go ahead and tell the story now real quick. When I was a young kid, or very early 80s, I was playing soccer for a little league team here in North Florida. And we got to the championship, and to play the championship, they let us play it at halftime of the soccer field, okay, of the Jacksonville T-Men, and they were playing the New York Cosmos. And at halftime, so the T-Men and the Cosmos, they go take their halftime, and we played it was a very condensed championship game because we were just playing for halftime. But we were all excited because we got to go out there and play in front of what we considered a packed house at the old Gator Bowl, right? So I would have been somewhere around 9 years old, I think I was. And on the field that day, because he had played for the Cosmos and was there, I can't remember why he was there, but Pele was there with the team supporting the Cosmos against the T-Men. And the reason why he came to the the North American Soccer League in the mid to late 70s was to try to build soccer in America. And so he came out onto the field for some kind of presentation. And as he was about to take the presentation, we were leaving the field. And very cool thing that he did, Pele stopped and high-fived every single one of us as we were. Of course, in the 70s, you don't have, early 80s, you don't have camera phones and stuff like that. I remember my mom just could not believe she didn't get a picture of this. I didn't really understand it. I was a kid. She goes, you just shook the hand of Pele. I'm like, what is a Pele? Like, I don't know. She goes, you play soccer? I'm like, I don't know. Like you didn't have Google back then. And so she had to teach me who he was that day. So then I watched him, the rest of the game. The game's going on. I'm watching him walk around the sidelines, and after that, got to actually learn what that was about. But anyways, that's my one cool story about Pele. Had nothing to do with me being any good at soccer. I just happened to be at the right place at the right time. So,
hey, that's pretty cool to be able to meet somebody of that stature. So that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it's like honestly, it's the equivalent of someone over in Italy who doesn't give two craps about the NBA and goes, hey, by the way, you just met Michael Jordan. Well, who's Michael Jordan? Right. He literally was the same thing. So, all right, let's go ahead and get into the day at hand here, because we're going to run out of time if I don't quit yapping about the good old days. Let's go ahead and get your stupid underdog pick and your lock of the day so we can get that out of the way. And
Okay.
I don't get sidetracked. What is your stupid underdog pick and what is your lock? I do have to tell you the ones that were taken on the other lock. For people that are confused, Justin's lock list is different than everyone else's because he does multiple ones. So
right,
you can take one of Justin's locks. It doesn't count.
Cool.
Looks like we've got Carolina +3 and San Francisco -10 are the locks taken so far.
Okay.
And then as far as the stupid underdog picks, Rams getting Rams +6.5 and North Carolina +13, which obviously did not cover. Well, it covered, but he didn't get the W.
All right. Well, then first, which one would you like first?
Doesn't matter.
All right, so I'm going to go with the stupid underdog first, and I know this is going to be probably not the most intriguing play to many people right now, but I need it as I am struggling at that. So I'm going to go with the Las Vegas Raiders. I know they just made the huge announcement on the quarterback. They're going with a little bit of a youth movement the rest of the season, as it seems, but they're getting 10.5 points on BetUS right now, and I just think, on their home field, why not? Eventually, Brock Purdy's got to have a game where maybe something falls through. So you know what? Vegas with the new quarterback, 10.5 on their home turf. I'm going to take them. And when it comes to my lock, it was bouncing back and forth. I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks at home. They're +1, I believe, at the moment. Yeah, +1 right now. And they're on their home field against the Jets. This is a must-win for Seattle as they're in the thick. It's same with the Jets, actually. But Seattle hasn't won in a little while. They've been struggling. I'm going to take Geno Smith to have a better game than the past few and come up big here with a nice win to put them maybe in that 7th seed, if not right close to it. So Seattle +1 is my lock. And then stupid underdog will be the Raiders +10.5.
It's a line that I think stinks. It smells bad, and I'm scared to touch it. And I usually do this about once a week, but when I say that the line stinks and it smells bad, I mean, it makes no sense. So is Vegas trying, are they begging me to take this, and are they just trying to trick me?
Uh-oh.
Why are the New York Giants at home only giving up 6 points? And this is no knock against your look, Joey's a big Colts fan. I'm not trying to trash the Colts franchise, but that's a terrible team right now. And it looks like Foles is probably going to play, right?
Yeah, it doesn't really probably matter, but Foles has looked really bad. And as a Colts fan,
midfield and it's only 6 points. I'm just saying that's strange. So the temptation is, come on, let's go grab the Giants. But I'm like, why? Why is that only 6 points? I feel like they're trying to trick me. But I'm definitely going to tease that. I'm going to tease this weekend.
I mean, as a Colts fan, I would, if I had to bet that game, I'm betting Giants all day. It's not even a close decision for me. The Giants have been playing better football. The Colts are a lackluster mess right now. So that's just that simple.
Yeah, it stinks.
Now watch something weird happen, right?
Yeah, it smells bad. It smells bad. All right, we got to take a really quick break. When we come back, we're going to do cool games. I don't think we've done that in a while. So cool games, we're going to answer Robert's question, and then we'll also get Buccateers' question about fantasy. We'll be back in a flash here on Braves Country HD, wherever you stream, and WQEE The Key, 99.1 FM, Noonan, Georgia.
Are you okay, pal?
I had a rough day on the job.
Are you going home now?
I was about to.
Well then, you just fulfilled the first rule of law enforcement. Make sure when your shift is over, you go home alive.
It's the best in sports and entertainment, and get locked in and locked down with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with your host, me, Ryan O'Neill, each and every morning, right here with the best in sports and entertainment, all the way from professional sports to college sports to River Dragons hockey and everything in between, including some of the very best local and national guests. It's the Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Fridays, right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.
Make contact. A collective psychosis is sweeping the nation. We're in the thick of the haze craze, and Elysian is introducing an altered state of IPA. Contact Haze is a tangled chemistry of mild haze, low bitterness, and an explosion of hop aroma. This hazy IPA bursts with notes of bright raspberry, currant, citrus, guava, and passion fruit. Available in 6-pack cans in stores. Make contact.
If we actually enjoyed our New Year's resolutions, we'd all have 6-packs, money in our saving accounts, and we'd know how to play the piano. I have to tell you about the one resolution I actually enjoy. It's Built Bar. It's delicious. Oh yeah, it's healthy too. They're low-cal, low-sugar, high-protein, high-fiber, great for the keto diet. Lose or maintain weight while indulging. Visit BuiltBar.com.
Braves Country, weekdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern, 99.1 FM The Key, your first choice for Southern sports talk.
Hey folks, this is Mark White with The Mark White Show, and you can tune into The Mark White Show every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. right here on Rock 99, WQEE The Key, the home of Southern sports and talk.
You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key, home of Braves Country, weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, right here on The Key and YouTube.com at Braves Country.
This is crazy. You want me to hit you?
That's right.
What, like in the face?
Surprise me.
This is so stupid. Oh, hit me in the ear. Well, Jesus, I'm sorry. Ow! Christ. By the ear, man.
Welcome back. Quick update in the Pinstripe Bowl. Just over a quarter left, 140 in the third. And Minnesota comfortably in front. I believe 21 to 10. They were up 14-0, and Syracuse came back, and then they just had a turnover that led to a touchdown, et cetera, et cetera. So that is the Pinstripe Bowl. Of course, you got the CHEEZ Bowl coming here to you. So we got there a little Oklahoma action, a little Florida State, and then I found a little bag of Cheez-Its. So there we go. We might want to fix that, though, because, Oklahoma's going down.
There we go.
They're going to be upside down. That probably was not going to stay, but, you get the you get the gist of it. So there we go. Florida State, Oklahoma. I've even got my dogs dressed up in Florida State gear, so we were ready to rock and roll. And they were not. I'll tell you what, man. My dogs are good sports, but you always know a dog doesn't want. They don't really want to put clothes on, right? You're like, here we go again. I don't even know what this guy's doing it, but he's constantly doing it. We did put a poll up on our Twitter, Braves Country HD, on if people think that Florida State's going to cover that 10-point spread. I'll be interested to see what the take is, because I feel like Florida State's going to win that game.
Yep. I
feel like they're going to be able to control the line of scrimmage. They're going to be able to run the ball. But I also feel like Oklahoma's going to be able to move the ball on them. Florida doesn't necessarily have the most explosive offense in the country. And they hung 38 points on Florida State. So the defense, and they got a lot of transfers coming, and that defense is going to get much better next year, but it's still a work in progress at this point. I'd be shocked if Florida State can hold a 10-point line. I said it before, I'm going to wait to see what happens at kickoff. Let's say Oklahoma gets a quick score and that line drops a little bit, then that's when I'm going to jump on it. Remember something, when the spread first hit, it was 6.5 points, 7 points, something like that. Then Oklahoma had some opt-outs, but still, that's a big margin to change. All right, now let's go. Now we're going to first of all want to hit Robert's question: how many teams in the NL got better? And talking about National League, I think Philly got better. I feel like they did, and not saying that Philly's going to improve on going to the World Series, but improve on their 162 game season. I feel like the Cubs got better.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Cardinals got a little better.
Agreed.
I think the Dodgers regressed. They didn't sign anyone big in free agency. They're not going to have Walker Buehler. They're not going to be as dominant. And because of that, everyone else in the division, including the Padres, got better, because I don't think the Dodgers are going to win 100 games. You go to the NL East, I do think the Braves top to bottom got a little better, and I know that sounds strange losing Swanson, but you gained an all-star catcher, and I think that's invaluable. And I also believe putting Iglesias into the closer role helps. So I think there's some work to be done, but they at least stood pat. And I don't think the Mets got better. I think they got older. And depending on what happens with Carlos Correa, I don't even necessarily know if his 268 average with 22 home runs makes them that much better. What say you?
I mean, yeah, I hope whatever happens in New York does not work out, starting with the Correa move. So I'll be looking to watch that. But they did get older. Now, if Verlander and Scherzer can stay healthy, which obviously, I mean, you never know at that age, right? And if their arms are still there, but that's the key to me, is those two veteran pitchers need to be on top of their game all season long for them to become an improvement in the National League.
All right, we got a fantasy question. Can only choose 4. God damn. All right, so some of these are mashed together. So it looks like it's Christian Kirk, Leonard Fournette, Pacheco, David Montgomery, Jamal Williams, Zach Moss, and Kenneth Walker. Wow.
I can tell you I'm sitting the last two because of matchups, and I don't think Zach Moss at the Giants, Kenneth Walker against a good Jets defense. I think right off the bat I'd be sitting those last two, just my opinion.
All right. So what is there, 7 or 8? And
I think there's 7 names here, yeah.
Okay, so immediately I'm taking Zach Moss out.
Correct.
Because A, the matchup, and B, they could fall behind. I do think the Giants are coming out motivated, and they could fall behind, which is going to make him basically non-existent, right? So I'm definitely taking him out off the jump. And then when you look at the other guys, so you got Kirk, Leonard Fournette, Pacheco. The problem with Pacheco is, and I don't see if it's a half-point PPR or not. Do you see that information?
He says half point. Yeah.
I'm sorry, half point. So that doesn't mean as much. I feel like he's going to struggle to move the ball, but he could sneak into the end zone. So put a pin in Lenny. I don't like Kirk at all, and I'll tell you why. I don't know how many. I know Peterson's saying all the right things, but are they going to start all their starters?
He was going to be my third out. You can't risk that to me.
So then you take Kirk out, you take Moss out, Jamal Williams, Montgomery. You got to start Montgomery. That's a given. I think you probably start Leonard Fournette.
I agree.
It really, to me, it comes down to Kenneth Walker. I think you got to start. Of course, check his health. He's questionable, but I think he's expected to play. But we'll just assume that all these guys are going to play. I think it really comes down to, do you bench Pacheco or do you bench Jamal Williams? And they're both the number 2 at this point. Man, I
would say bench Pacheco because McKinnon's been giving a lot of the hot hand there to me.
He has, and I don't want to bench anyone in that Lions-Bears game because I feel like it's going to be a shootout.
55-50.
It feels like a game where Jamal Williams might get 13 yards, but he's got 3 touchdowns somehow, right? Like, yeah. I just don't think I can bench Williams. So I'm saying Moss, I'm saying Kirk, and probably Pacheco, unless for some reason Kenneth Walker can't go, then obviously slide him out.
I'm good with that list.
Yeah, basically what I just said, Phillies, Cubs, Cardinals, and Padres got better. I think the Braves are just as good. And I think at best, the Mets did lateral movement. You lost Jacob deGrom. It's really hard to get better when you lost arguably the best pitcher in baseball. I get that they got Verlander. They got 2 dudes that are filling out their AARP cards. They're supposed to be your 1-2 guy going into October. They may look phenomenal in April, but what are they going to look like in October? And that's the question. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, the Braves, let's say they go head-to-head with the Braves in the NLCS, and they've got Verlander and they've got Scherzer, and then they've got the wild card, the free agent from Japan. Who knows what he's going to be? So I have to put him off to the side because he may be dominant. He may stink. He may be where I think he's going to be, which is somewhere in between. His first time through the National League, he'll probably look very good. But it's when that pitcher's new to a league and comes through the second time is where you'll find out how good he really is. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, the Braves are going to have proven guys like, in my opinion, right now, if I had a 1, 2, 3 in a series, if assuming they're all healthy, it would be Fried, Strider, and probably Kyle Wright would be my number 3. And a good backup plan is Charlie Morton, who, by the way, once again had over 200 strikeouts.
And hopefully those top 3 pitchers for the Braves years to come. I know you talked a little bit about earlier, Fried probably gone after a couple, but man, wouldn't it be nice if that was your 1, 2, 3 in Atlanta for the next few seasons?
Yeah, and the thing is, that's not a terrible thing if he's gone. That just means that you got to move on and get younger, and you can probably get quite a haul in a trade with him.
True.
I'd say what you can probably do is maybe not this year, but I'm thinking more of going into next year, is you make a trade where you get a pitcher with a little more control and you send him to someone who's more likely to re-sign him. I can't think of anyone off the top of my head right now, but someone like a New York Yankees, a Dodgers or whatever, and you get someone who's a little younger with a little more control. Because that's the name of the game in Atlanta right now, is getting as much control as you can get. All right, let's go ahead and do what we haven't done this before. It's called Cool Games.
Let's go.
I'll hit these games for you. And you're going to tell me, is this a cool game? Is this a game that has your attention? I'm not saying if it means anything. I'm saying, do you care about this game? Are you watching this game? Do you really want to watch this game? We're going to do college and pro.
Okay.
Cool games. Obviously, tonight's game is not a cool game. Cowboys, Titans. That is about the farthest thing from a cool game. It might be cold up there, but it's not a cool game. We'll throw one out at you. Tonight's Oklahoma-Florida State game. Now, of course, I think it's a cool game because I'm a Florida State fan. But you're a bystander. Do you care about that game?
I do care about that game, and I'll give you a few reasons why. Number one, I'm always a big fan of the quarterbacks of any team you put out there. It's just been what I've done as a kid, just always trying to follow QBs. Jordan Travis, I talked about him a little bit. His stats speak for themselves, but so does Gabriel on the other side. He also has 24 touchdowns and only 6 interceptions. So both of the ratios have been good. They've both thrown it for over 2,500 yards and had over 300 passes in doing all of that work. So, I mean, I think you're going to get a higher scoring game. I do think Florida State will edge out, but I think it's a cool game because of the matchups on hand, especially on the offensive side. You could look at FSU for many reasons. You could go to their backfield where they have Mr. Trey Benson, who ran for 900 yards and 9 touchdowns, almost reaching the century mark. I think there's going to be a lot of offense tonight. I'm looking forward to it. I'll have some cheese on it. So, yes, it is a cool game.
Get some cheese, get some Cheez-Its. What about Texas, Washington? I think this is a cool game. I'm looking forward to this one.
Absolutely. You have two programs who had pretty good seasons, all things considered. Texas at 8-4 and Washington at 10-2. And again, let's look at the quarterback play as it plays a consistent factor here. Penix Jr., where will he end up getting drafted at? He has 30 touchdowns nearly with 29 passing on the season. And on the other side, I know he didn't have the most flashy stats, but Quinn Ewers came in and did a pretty sustainable job for that team. I would say wasn't, lights out, but I remember that Alabama game where they had some fun and he got knocked out. So I'm looking at the quarterbacks in that one, and I'm also saying it's a cool game.
All right. I'm going to skip Pittsburgh UCLA because I don't feel like that's a cool game. I might watch it if UCLA starters play. But there's still question mark. Even though most of them traveled, I don't know if they're going to play. I'm going to leave you out of Notre Dame, South Carolina. Okay? Because you're a Notre Dame fan. Of course, you're going to think it's a cool game.
Yeah.
I'm going to put my vote in. I think it is a cool game, and I'll tell you why. South Carolina was one of the hottest teams down the stretch, and they're going to get to play pretty close to home, so they should have a good showing from their fans. Every time they play in Jacksonville, they normally have a very good showing from their fans. It's not that far down the road. It's 3:30 on a Friday afternoon. Crack you a cold one. Let's go, right?
Yes, sir.
And they're playing against Notre Dame, and no matter what people can love, like, or hate about Notre Dame, they're still a household brand. So I think it's a cool game. Orange Bowl. Tennessee, Clemson. Is that a cool game?
Absolutely. That's no doubt, no question about it. I mean, listen, we have two of the top programs this season. I know Hooker won't be available in the matchup, but I mean, how can you not want to see two really, really good programs this year in Tennessee and Clemson? And what the Orange Bowl, the battle of orange uniforms, I'm all in for it. Cool game.
It would be much more fun if Hendon Hooker was playing.
Yes.
But it's kind of even because Clemson's going to have their heir apparent playing quarterback as DJU is gone. And Tennessee will have Milton playing. Now, whether or not he'll be the quarterback next year remains to be seen. But I think it's going to be an exciting game. I think it's going to be a close game. So it's the Orange Bowl. It's got to be a really bad matchup for the Orange Bowl not to be a cool game. Maryland, NC State, Duke's Mayo Bowl.
This is the first one where I'm going to say not a cool game for me. I just don't simply have much interest here.
I think it is just, what's the opposite of cool? Nerd game? I don't care about this game, man. Maryland, NC State. I mean, I'd like to see if the NC State quarterback can play well, but it's just there's nothing. And we're going to skip over Ohio, Wyoming. You had to have graduated from one of those two. You might be living in those states and not even know that game is. What about the Sugar Bowl, Alabama, Kansas State?
I am intrigued in those because I'm always interested. I think it's a cool game because I'm interested to see what Alabama team shows up when they're not in the playoff. Can Kansas State keep it a close game? I always enjoy watching Alabama try to lose. So I'll be rooting for K-State. Cool game.
Iowa, Kentucky, the Music City Bowl.
Not a cool game. If you ever watch an Iowa game this season, me unfortunately having some in the Big Ten country, it's not pretty on offense, and I don't think you're going to get a lot out of Kentucky because I assume Levis is probably not playing.
I don't even care if he's playing. I'm not watching it because it's kicking off at the same time as the Sugar Bowl.
I don't get that, why they didn't stagger those two.
I don't know, but all I know is I'll be watching the Sugar Bowl.
I'm with you.
I figure, see, what the over-under is 31. That, by definition, is not a cool game.
Yeah, you don't even get considered if you don't make it to 40.
No. TCU, Michigan, College Football National Championship semifinal. I'm going to say that's not a cool game. Georgia, Ohio State, I think, is a cool game.
I agree with you on Georgia, Ohio State, but I'm going to say TCU, Michigan's a cool game because that's something about Duggan on his story. I want to see what he can do against the Michigan Wolverines, who a lot of people just have automatically advanced. And so I'll give that one a cool game.
I just feel like you're going to have to pick and choose on what you watch on Saturday. I don't know if I'm going to have time to watch all three games. So if I can only pick two, I'm going to watch the Sugar and I'm going to watch Ohio State, Georgia.
Really? Okay.
It's considered the Peach Bowl. Just got a feeling that I'm probably going to catch the fourth quarter of TCU, Michigan.
Okay.
Because I got to get something done on Saturday, right? And if it's close, it'll have my attention. If it's really close or TCU has the lead, I might jump in there by the third quarter, halftime. But other than that, it's going to be on in the background, and I'm going to be working and doing stuff. And we got plans to go to a friend's house, big Georgia fans, to watch the Georgia Ohio State game. I do want TCU to stay closer because I might have teased TCU when it was 9, took it to 15. Let's go.
Nudge.
TCU plus 15, Georgia, basically a pick 'em at a minus 0.5. Real quick on the rest of the bowl games. Tulane, USC, cool game. Cotton Bowl, Monday morning.
On the Monday morning after the great slate from Saturday and Sunday, I feel like I'm just going to have to do something during that slot. So I'm going to say not a cool game there.
You're going to be nursing a hangover, probably.
Sure.
Mississippi State, Illinois. That's not a cool game. The only cool thing that I want to see the beginning of it to see how they remember Leach.
Right.
Did you see the game last night, Texas Tech?
I saw the game, but I didn't see before.
Did you see the first play of the game?
Mm-mm.
Texas Tech, because of course he was kind of the first, real coach to build up Texas Tech. They did one of his famous formations on the very first play. You kind of have to see it. It's kind of hard to explain, but you would definitely know that is Leach. Like I thought it was really cool. LSU, Purdue. That's not a cool game. Plus that line keeps going. I think Purdue's had some opt-outs. LSU's going to mash them. Rose Bowl. This is a cool game to me. Penn State, Utah.
Oh, I'm all in for that, especially as we all know Mr. Tampa Tones is big on the Penn State. So I'll be glued to the TV for that one.
And real quick, we'll hit the NFL. We're not going to do all the NFL games, but I'm just going to grab a couple of which you would say is in question, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think the number one cool game of the entire weekend is Bills Bengals, right? Monday night.
Oh yeah,
that's
as good as it gets.
And I hope they're playing for something, and I hope they're not resting guys because I want to see that game. Steelers Ravens Sunday Night Football. That is a terrible game.
Those
Sunday night.
Those used to be great matchups during the Ed Reed, Ray Lewis days, but I'm just kind of bored of that matchup now. And it's going to be lower scoring.
35, and that's the flex. That's not flexing. Flexing a bird chest is what that is. Dolphins Patriots.
Oh, definitely a cool game. Not only just the implications, a great division rivalry right there. I'm saying a cool game with high stakes on the line.
Panthers Bucks.
This is biased for me, but a cool game. I mean, it does mean a lot too. It's for the division, for crying out loud. So now offensively could be some struggles, but cool game in my eyes.
Yeah, I don't think it's a cool game.
That's fair. For personal reasons,
kill me for that. But I just think it's a game that, like, if you're a fan of the Panthers, a fan of the Bucks, you're going to be locked in. And if it's on here locally, I'll keep an eye on it. But to watch that for 4 quarters, it's just not a cool game. Down to the wire, Bucks have a chance to win the division. Call me, right? But to watch that thing kick off and grind through first 2 or 3 quarters, I'm like, oh, dude. I'm surprised the over is as high as it is. 2 more. Let's go with, actually, there's not enough to do 2 more. 1 more. Vikings Packers. 425 CBS game of the week.
Since the Packers are in it, I'm going to say cool game. Usually this is always a good battle. Minnesota got the best of them in the first one. They usually play pretty high scoring. I'm going to say a cool game here.
I think it's a cool game. I think it's because everybody knows there's no room for error. The Packers have to win out. They're going up against the Vikings. The Vikings are going to give it their all this last week. Next week, they're going to rest folks, right? I think it's a cool game. It's in Lambeau, 37 degrees. Should be a fairly high-scoring game. Should be mano-a-mano, and I think the Packers are going to find a way to win. But isn't it crazy that this team that is 7-8 is a 3.5-point favorite against a 12-3 Vikings team?
That is wild.
First time they played. It's unbelievable. We got to take a real quick break. When we come back, we are going to finish this off with some predictions and other things. We'll be back in a flash, and we'll react to a couple of things that are put up there. We'll be back in a flash here on WQEE 99.1 FM and Braves Country HD, wherever you may stream. We'll be back in do.
Bro, Blake, play for the love of the game, man. What's wrong with you, bro? Money should not be a thing. Bro, I'm risking my life. What do you mean it should not be a thing? It 100% should be a thing. And if I get the Rona, on top of that, if I get the Rona, guess what happens with that? The damage that was done to my body, that's going to be there forever. No, I got to get my money. I'm not playing unless I get mine. More Twitch streams for us, that's facts.
Armchair.
Dixie Handle Company, 5 generations of the Strickland family have produced quality hardwood farm and garden tools, wooden shutters, and custom furniture. This small business has been owned and operated since 1992 and ships to customers across the world. If you're looking for the highest quality tool handles, Dixie Handle Company is your place. Every item is handpicked to your specifications. If it's made of wood, they do it. Call now, 931-722-3395. That's 931-722-3395. Or go online to DixieHandle.com. The Dixie Handle Company. Welcome to Craftsmanship, a proud sponsor of Braves Country Baseball.
How to improve your dining room by the Home Depot. New wood floors, new paint on the walls. Sure, you know us for that. But how about a new dining room table, matching chairs, bar stools, How about free and flexible delivery with easy online returns? Now you can explore decor in a whole new way. Save now on furniture. Everything for your home. Everything from HomeDepot.com. How doers get more done. Limitations apply.
Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern, 99.1 FM The Key, your first choice for Southern sports talk.
You mean to tell me we're going to drive from here to Texarkana, Texas, and back to here in 28 hours?
It's only 900 miles there, 900 miles back.
Well, for your information, that ain't never been done, not no rig.
That's because you and I ain't never done it in no rig. You got to stop thinking so negative, son. Oh, that's all right.
Welcome back. Maverick, I see your comment where it says Morton, that Anthopoulos extended Morton. It was $20 million for 1 year. Max Fried's not signed for $22 a year. Because you're talking about Fried to a $22 million a year, 6 years. That's actually, what was that breakdown to? 132. He's not going to play for that. If you give him a 6-year deal, it's every bit of 180. The going rate for elite starting pitching, which is what Max Fried is at least 30 a year. I don't see Atlanta doing it. They haven't done it. Why would they all of a sudden start doing it? That's why they locked up Strider, because they know they're going to lose Fried. And you just hope that they can develop guys down in the system, because maybe if you can get Ian Anderson to turn around a little bit, and you can get back to where he was last year before he fell apart, you might be able to get him to sign a very club-friendly deal, right? Because a guy that just went down to the minors, who just had to bounce around on that old rickety bus, goes, you know what? Lock me up. Let's go. You could probably get a Kyle Wright who he has seen it all. But I don't think it sounds great, and I would love it. I don't think Fried would do it. And if you go by what Anthopoulos does, he doesn't do a lot of pitching. Strider's very young, which is why he locked him up. And he's already had his Tommy John surgery, so hopefully all that's out of the way. Okay, tonight you got Titans versus Cowboys, a game where the Titans are benching most of their guys. Really what it comes down to is, Joey, do you think that Cowboys will cover that 14-point spread, and is that over under 40.5? Is that about right to you?
I don't think the Cowboys are going to cover the 14. I do think they win. I think it'll be about by 10 or so. And I do believe that it goes over as well. I do too.
I think that's a really low over.
It seems rather low. I know the Titans are obviously holding back at least a dozen players or so, but
the thing is, the Titans' defense is terrible. So you bench some guys, it's not going to get better. So I gotta figure, unfortunately, I'm going to get CeeDee Lamb and a couple other Cowboys. I'm kind of cringing of what's going to happen in fantasy, but I'm hoping a blizzard hits Nashville or something.
Yeah, because I was going to say, one thing I do feel good about is first score touchdown by CeeDee Lamb is plus 550 right now. I kind of like that play. I just think it's a perfect game for CeeDee Lamb to have another really good outing here.
You're looking for in-game bets. One of the ones that I like the most: Cowboys -3 in the first quarter. I figure Dallas is going to score, and I don't think Tennessee will come out scoring quickly. So, and they might even get into field goal range, but I can see a 7-3 being the 7-3, 14-3, something like that, where the Cowboys minus. I'll take that all day long. I figure the worst thing that's going to happen is I'm going to push, right?
Yeah.
Florida State, Oklahoma. Oklahoma is getting 10 points, which is a lot for a bowl game. And I get it that it's in Orlando, but it's not like it's in Tallahassee. So they're not exactly the home team. But I get it. They're closer to home than what Oklahoma is. Over under 65.5. I like the under. I'm going to go ahead and give you a score. It's against my better judgment, but I'll say Florida State covers, but I mean barely. 35-23. You know what? 34-23. They'll miss at least one extra point. Our kicking game sucks. What say you?
I'm going to go Florida State wins, but again, I'm just not comfortable giving that up. I'm going to go 34-30 Florida State. And what will it
God,
will just
it's not that close, man. Oh, God, it's clinching.
I'm sorry. Hey, you get a good outcome at least. It's just going to take a little bit to get there.
If it's that close, I'll be switching to the hard stuff around the fourth quarter.
The dark side.
This one's personal too for people who don't know the rivalry. Oklahoma's had Florida State's number over the years. We really want to kick their butt. This goes back to the Bobby Bowden years in the early 80s. They famously cheated in the Orange Bowl, but then again, I still blame Bowden for being an idiot and calling the games over radio. What are you doing? This was actually a thing. He called plays over radio so the fans could hear it. Well, it was like this new innovative thing. You trying to tell me that Barry Switzer didn't cheat and listen to that? Florida State, by the way, lost by 2 points in that game. You trying to tell me that wasn't a factor? But anyways.
What?
Yes, he did, man. I'm telling you.
Oh, my goodness.
I remember I was a kid. I was a little kid. I was a toddler. And I can remember my dad's like about having an aneurysm before the game because he was going to the game with my mom. And he was like, are you kidding me with this? Are you kidding me with this? And I remember listening to it on radio, hearing about. Now, supposedly they were behind, right? So they were 5 to 10 seconds behind, like radio would be. So they didn't know the play per se. But what they did, what you could do if you were watching and listening, is you could put together what was being called and what you could decipher what it probably meant, because he would call it and then he would say, well, what that is that's a, this and that. That's a student body left, right? So it's not the first time you hear it. It's the second and third time that the guy up in the booth hears that they could be alerted.
That's mind-blowing.
All guys, Barry Switzer. For you kiddies out there who don't know who Barry Switzer is, that dude was as dirty as they come, man. He was a heck of a college football coach and a very questionable human being. And most people will tell you that he won the Super Bowl because of Jimmy Johnson's players, but he's about as dirty as they come. All right, what about the Washington Texas game tonight? Texas is a 3-point favorite. Over under is 66.5. I think that over is incredibly high. What say you?
I agree on that. I would be going with the under, and I also like Washington. I just think this is going to be a tight battle the entire way, and at the end of the day, Penix Jr. does a little bit more and gets them. I'm not going to say they're going to win, but they're for sure going to cover and be in that 3-point range down the stretch. Under as well.
I'll take I get why Texas is favored. The game's being played in San Antonio in the Alamo Dome, so you got to figure they're going to have a lot of fans. It's going to be like a road game. But I think Washington finds a way to get the W. I just think they're a better team. And I do feel like that their players will have something to play for. By the way, real quick update before we jam out of here. Minnesota leads Syracuse 28-13. Syracuse does have the ball. There's about 6.5 minutes left, and Syracuse is marching, if you want to call it that. Syracuse's offense is pretty bad. What is your walk-off for the day, sir?
My walk-off is, listen, this is the main college football weekend right here. We got the playoff coming up. Oh, what a cutie. Yesterday we had good things happen. Today we're having good things happen. The Seminole Florida State gear is fully intact. But just enjoy all the college football and get ready for a great afternoon, because with the playoff and everything, grab your 2 pups, grab a cold one, and lock into your armchair for this entire weekend, because it's going to come to an end.
So this is Tally, the newest puppy, and she's got the FSU gear on, the Florida State cheerleader gear. I'm gonna give her.
I love it.
And then the other dog that you saw kind of can't quite keep her still because she's a little bigger. That's a Cookie, and she's got an FSU jersey on because she's a little bigger. But we're getting ready to go over to the neighbor's house and watch the game. My walk-off is we'll be back here tomorrow, 3 to 5. We'll have Bobby here. We'll have, I believe Tones is here, but I'm not 100% sure on that one. But we got a big Friday day of football. And then, of course, you've got the 5 bowl games tomorrow. Looking forward to that. And we'll be doing our stupid underdog picks. We'll be doing our locks. And go Noles, baby. We've got 30 minutes till kickoff. And hopefully they get the W and it leaves a good taste in their mouth going into next season. That's the big thing. Because I do believe, so right now Florida State's ranked number 13. That's about where they'll start next year. They might be in the top 10, but it won't be top 5. It'll be somewhere around the top 10, give or take. And a lot of guys coming back. So it should be a fun game. And like all bowl games are fun, but they're not life or death because, what do we win?
Exactly.
I guess we win a bag of Cheez-Its. All right, we'll see you manana. Great job, Joey. Great job, Waller.
Thank you.
Get tomorrow, 3 to 5. Stay tuned for Farrell Coast to Coast here on The Key.
Goodbye, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. We're back tomorrow with another show. Well, unless we're fired, we'll talk to you then. Goodbye, sweetheart. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Guys and gals, it's time to go. We'll see you on the next show.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Thanks for listening to Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks on 99.1 FM WQEE, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, and simulcasting on youtube.com/@Braves Country. Braves Country comes your way weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Please follow, like, and subscribe today. Armchair Quarterback Radio, your first choice for Southern sports.
Something of the 5th of September. Something of the 5th of September. She said a lot that I can't remember. Something of the 5th. Can I get another cigarette, please? Can I get another cigarette, please? Yeah, I know I live to regret it. Just give me another cigarette, please. Can I get another cigarette, please?
You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia.
Are you looking for a reliable dental practice that not only cares about your teeth, but is friendly to work with? How about one that offers great deals and new patient promotions? Well, your search is over. Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton, Georgia is committed to giving you the biggest and brightest smile. Right now, get a $99 new patient special, including x-rays and exam. Maybe you're looking for veneers. Most